Those that have been with me for a while have seen that I have been out in the wild to show you plants in the wild that are beneficial in our life in some way. But I wanted today to talk a little bit about the etiquette of wildcrafting. So what does etiquette have to do with wildcrafting or herbalism? Well, you want to be respectful to the land, the plants, and the inhabitants or the owners, as we see it, of the land in some aspect. And that's why we have rules of etiquette in wildcrafting. And the first rule that you want to definitely pay attention to is to know your location and know its resources. So what does it mean to know your location? It's not necessarily that, oh, I'm at this point on a map or on the GPS. It's more of knowing its surroundings. Is it a healthy location? Knowing its rules and regulations. For instance, I do a lot of videoing in parks, but did you know that most parks have rules against picking? And I know that, but you might not, and you might be thinking, why even go to those locations to show me plants that are available? And that's exactly why I go to these locations, to show you the plants that are available. I am out there to educate you and giving you resources to be able to educate yourself so you can go out and find these same plants in those same locations and be able to identify them for yourself. So that's the number one thing that we want to do when wildcrafting, is knowing your location and its resources. And a resource might be, what river goes through the area? Is there toxins in the river? Are there animals that live in the area that are maybe endangered or you don't want to mess with? For instance, if they're bears, don't go in an area that you could put yourself into danger. And that is why we talk about knowing the location and its resources. So etiquette number 2, or rule number 2 for wildcrafting, is to know your stuff. Know the plants that you're looking for and know the mimickers of those plants. The plants that look similar that could actually be dangerous in certain circumstances. For instance, one plant that I like to bring up quite a bit, or one mimicker or one danger to look out for, would be Queen Anne's lace versus poison hemlock. At first look, or at a look from a novice, you might think that these two plants are the same plants, and one is extremely beneficial and one can put you in the hospital or in the morgue. So you definitely want to know the plants that you can find, but you also need to know the plants that you could potentially find but you don't want. And that is why we want to know our plant knowledge really well. And a rule that I always give, if you are not like 100% sure of this is that plant that you think you're identifying, then put it down. It's not something that you're ready for, and it's not ready for you. And I'll explain that in a minute. So rule number 3 that I give, or etiquette number 3 that I give for wildcrafting, is to pick your picking. And what that means is, all right, you see this yellow flower right over here, right? Is there any other yellow flowers like that in the area? Is it a good area to pick from? And that's kind of like knowing your location. But in the wildcrafting world or in the herbalism world, we don't want to wipe out our resources in herbalism. So, we pick on this yellow little flower over here, and yes, this is a common flower that we can find everywhere, but is this the only yellow flower that we have in our area that we are looking at? If so, then maybe it wouldn't be a good idea to pick that lonely flower. Let's let that one grow and multiply. And that goes for any herbs that you're finding out in the wild. Is it a plant that is prolific in the area that you're picking? And that's a question that you need to ask yourself before you pick. So if it is a good plant in a good area, how much do you take? Well, a good rule of thumb is you always want to leave at least 2/3 of any plant stand that is available. And that even goes for if you see a plant stand and you see that a bunch of it has been picked and it looks like 1/3 of it has been picked, then leave the rest alone. Leave some for the animals and leave some for propagation of that plant in the future. Make sense? Okay, etiquette number 4 or rule number 4 is to ask permission. Now, you might be saying, ask permission from who? The plants? Yes, indeed. You need to be asking permission from the top down, whether it is from the environment or the universe, however you want to look at it. You could be asking permission from God or the Creator or Mother Earth or along those lines. And you also need to ask permission from the plant itself. These are living beings, and as a living being yourself, would you want to be picked up and moved to a different location or be required to participate in somebody else's endeavors without permission or without even knowledge of what is going on? No, I didn't think so. And that the same thing goes for plants. You need to ask permission from the plant, and you need to listen to that plant, listen to the environment, and listen to everything around you as you ask for permission from whoever you're asking for permission from. And to the last rule of etiquette in wildcrafting is to respect. We always want to respect anything and everything that we're getting into. So the previous rule was to ask permission. What was the answer? Was it yes or was it actually no? And then respect that answer. If it was a no, then don't do it. And another way to look at providing respect is there garbage in the area? Why don't you pick it up? Did you leave an offering? Did you give a blessing in return? Did you give a thanks? These are all showing respect to the area and to the environment in total, and these are all showing respect to the craft of wildcrafting. So I hope these rules of wildcrafting etiquette helped you out today. And if this is an avenue that you're interested in and would like some more information about it, I do have resources below in the description section. I will let you go here, and I'll talk with you again soon. And until then, get healthy, be happy, and herbal on. Bye.